Ooh. Look at you.
Hey, I didn't know you guys were going to be here.
You're not mic'd.
So,
We did it.
we did it.
Here we are.
Gamescom.
So, here we are on Sunday, following Gamescom.
What are your guys' highlights?
Well, I think, in terms of games, I really loved playing Titanfall. It was great to finally get hands-on after all the hype it got at E3.
I think we'd all agree.
And we see this in the comments a lot that, oh, it looks just like Call of Duty. It doesn't feel like Call of Duty at all.
Yeah, I killed a giant robot as a little guy, and that was pretty fun.
It was after you went and played it, me and Tim tried to sneak into EA and get in there, and it was just in the press area. There was like a 40-minute to an hour
I waited 45
line,
minutes for it for my appointment.
which is ridiculous. There's the line there. The public line is probably like 6 hours or something like that.
I actually talked to Abby about this. Abby Happy from Respawn. They cut their line at 4 hours.
The show might close by the time that people
Right.
get close to the front.
It's like that's your day. You go to
Yeah.
Gamescom, you go stand in line and play a game, and then maybe you have time to play some other game. and then
Maybe
the show's
because
closed.
Assassin's Creed 4, the line was 6 hours long, or 5 hours long, and Razer, who wasn't even showing product on the show floor, had a 6-hour line to get into.
Before the show even opened up to the public, there were Sony, Microsoft, and EA all did press conferences. I think it started with Microsoft, right? But it wasn't even so much a presser. It was like
they
we
called
went
it
to
a showcase.
I don't know. It was more of like a small like, hey, these are our games again. They announced the Fable Legends, and then the Fighter Within, and said that they're gonna, hey, we like indies again.
What did you guys think about that Fable? I mean, it's like kind of trying to be the big announcement of the show for them, but
Their first-party launch lineup is not terribly deep, and for that reason, they arranged with Capcom for Dead Rising 3 to be exclusive.
Which was my second favorite thing of the show.
They announced Fighter Within, which is a Kinect-only fighting game from Ubisoft.
which Tim looked like an idiot and went and played it.
Yeah.
Did you have fun with that?
It was
looked
all right. I mean,
exhausting.
I don't know.
It looked
It
like
was-
you were doing this for.
Everything was like pretty responsible for a Kinect game, and then like I had biggest problems. You have to lean back and jump forward, and then like you get stunned for a while. Anyway, it wasn't like the most complete look at it.
We also learned that Killer Instinct is going to launch with, I believe it's 6 fighters,
Okay.
and then have 2 shortly after launch, and to get all of those, it's going to be $40.
They didn't announce a release date for the system.
Yeah, I think we were a little surprised by that, but at the same time, Microsoft got jumped on by Sony at E3. So
In
they
that
were
back
playing the
alley,
waiting
yeah.
game. I will tell you right now that my guess on Xbox One launch date is Call of Duty plus or minus 3 or 4 days.
Right. I would say Gamescom kind of feels like a mini E3, at least from this year, because you had Microsoft kind of ho-hum, Nintendo was almost non-existent, and then Sony came out and like they were probably the best show of the whole show. And their press conference was cool. It was filled. It wasn't as like impressive as E3's, but
All those Vita
it was
titles
filled with a
and-
bunch of like they announced probably like 15.
It was
and the Vita
15.
price drop,
Yeah,
like
the Vita price drop, the actual system release date, like they had some real news.
But more importantly than the system release date, launching in 32 territories, as opposed to Microsoft, which at E3 announced 21 and then dropped it down to 13, because they're probably having production issues and they need to push out the door early. I'm a little disappointed that Sony, who knew they were walking in as the first to announce release date, wasn't able to push earlier. I thought they would have really benefited from a late October launch.
Do you think it'll make a big deal if it's like 2 weeks earlier?
I think it will. But yeah, I think, in EA, which was sandwiched in between, I think there was a better look at some of the games they've got coming out, but there were no exciting announcements. I mean, they showed some more stuff
There's
about
nothing new.
Garden
really.
Warfare.
I mean, I guess
but-
they showed new stuff of Sims 4, but really it was just reminding you that all these like good-looking games are coming out, showing you a little bit new angles on them. But yeah,
So Gamescom this year, from the platform holder perspective, definitely felt like beat 2 of E3. It was, E3 was show, and Gamescom was play.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a chance to play Titanfall. We got another chance at Battlefield. We got to play Call of Duty. We got to play.
Dead Rising.
You got to play Dead Rising. We got to play The Sims.
Experimented with like the character creator. Didn't really like mess around with like the Sims themselves, but the character creator's cool because you like pick an object on the body and like pull on it and like make your arms bigger, or you could like pull on his face and like if you want to like make his nose long or like
It seems uncomfortable.
mess with the ears. They were yelling and screaming like "Stop touching me!"
really?
No. What was your I don't know, second best game of the show? Titanfall.
So we're
was, like,
assuming
your
Titanfall
first.
is, our favorite game of the show.
Well, I think we just said that.
Okay, fine. We just said that.
Did you not?
No, I did. I
Okay.
really
So what
enjoyed
was
it.
your second? Like the second best game you saw?
I'm gonna go last on this.
Because it was The Last of Us?
That's already out.
Oh, no, Watch Dogs for me, and it was surprising.
Yeah.
It was our first hands-on opportunity with Watch Dogs. The multiplayer really surprised me. It felt a little bit like Dark Souls or Demon Souls in the way that you can invade another player's game.
Right.
You can turn that feature off, though. It borrows a little bit from Assassin's Creed's multiplayer in the best ways. You don't know who the person is hacking you. You've got to be very smart about looking for them, looking for somebody who's acting differently. And one of the things the dev said was, pull your gun out and shoot it in the air. Because the one person who doesn't like freak out and run away is probably the hacker. It's probably the other player character.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
We've heard a lot about second screen stuff. Watch Dogs has done it in such a way that it's completely segmented experience that interacts directly with the game. You can play the second screen app, CTOS Mobile, for free. You don't need to own the console game. So you play on the tablet, you play like a helicopter whose job is to confound the player on the ground.
And you can do a hack thing. You can do that. You can do a hack job from with a mobile device to the game to someone playing on the console, or you can do it console to console, right? Like you can.
Yes.
Okay.
So I believe you can do it. You can do it cooperative. Oh my gosh.
No, keep talking.
Oh, thank you. So glad to be here at Gamescom and talking into a role.
Know your role.
Know your role.
So you hack other people.
Well done. Yeah, you hack other people.
I already think you're a hack, Mike.
Did you get to play with the tablet?
Yes.
Okay. All right. How'd that go?
Really well. Like surprisingly well. I think the second screen thing is going to be a fad, and I hope it dies very quickly, or at least gets to the point where they're all like decent experiences. Because like Rise is going to use it for
So sucker or be cool or die, basically. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like your freshman year in high school. It's like you sink or swim.
Yeah,
you gotta either
yeah.
prove yourself or you're gonna be destined to die and get wedgies for the rest of
Or
your
it's
life.
like in prison when you have to beat the hell
you're
out of
first
someone
year
right
prison,
away.
yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise,
you
you
have to
are.
like, melt your toothbrush into a
Otherwise you're a
sharp.
pet.
like,
I'm not really
shiv.
comfortable with the way this conversation is going.
Never been to prison?
You know what a German prison's like?
You want to find out? Tim, what about you?
Hi. Second
Have
best
you
game
ever
of the
been
show.
to a prison? Oh no, yeah, second best game of the show.
My second favorite thing I saw was Dead Rising 3. Capcom Vancouver was getting some criticism early on that this is much darker and this is a more serious game and this doesn't. And then people are like, oh, this doesn't seem like Dead Rising. It's not goofy and stuff. And like I talked with Capcom Vancouver when I met up with them during Gamescom. They're like, yeah, we had to get people's attention right out of the gate, but this is a Dead Rising experience like you know it. You can mix booze with coffee, you put it in a blender, drink it while wearing a bull outfit and breathe fire, and then take a motorcycle and a steamroller and combine it into something called like a roller hog and just drive through just oodles of zombies, and your screen pretty much just turns red. And then when you get overcome with zombies, because like the physics will like slow down vehicles, you just hold down the gas and the e-brake and just do donuts while flamethrowers spit out the front of it. If you want to play it serious, go for it, but this game's still goofy as hell for people that want that.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds like Dead Rising.
It is.
What about you? What was your second favorite game of show?
I'm a big fan of XCOM. Enemy Unknown, which was last year's game, was like probably my favorite game of last year. The sequel, which kind of just got announced, like just sequel / expansion. It's more of an expansion, but that game looks awesome. And it's layered on top of the existing gameplay, so you can still play like all that original stuff. But then they have a couple new facilities to add your ant farm, which lets you build mechs, which is like a new class of unit. It also lets you like augment your soldiers with like cybernetics, so you can like put some implants in their legs, and they were able to like
That's
jump up
so
to
cool.
a high spot. And
Coming
like,
off of the
snipe.
heels of Shadowrun Returns, like I'm so ready to do that in more games.
Yeah, it's fun. And then the mech's really cool because it's really powerful, and you have this ability where you can just expend all of your ammo in one shot and blow up a piece of cover. And then they have this punch where you just knock dudes across the screen. Like you can take out thin men in one shot. It's an expansion, but for consoles, it's coming on a separate disc. It was a very pleasant surprise to kind of come to the show and then find out about this.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it comes out like this year, like a couple months,
Yeah, as if we don't have enough good stuff coming, right?
Right.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, we got to get going.
You guys ever just put a bunch of stuff in a bun and then just like make it into a sandwich?
Anything that like disappointed you or surprised you as not happening or not being as good as you expected?
I mean, you both haven't been a roommate. You both surprised and disappointed me. Most of the time. I think it has
Snoring
to do
in the middle
with,
of the night?
But the thing with you, Mike, is your snoring isn't like this constant thing. It's like, oh man, this is great. I'm gonna go to sleep for a little bit, and then I'm gonna try not to spill my food out, but just dead silence. And then there's just silence again for like 10 minutes, so just enough to start to settle into a rhythm again. But speaking of rhythm, I think
Wow, segue.
Fantasia is looking pretty. I don't have any really.
All right. Well, most surprising things. I thought it was weird that Microsoft didn't announce the release date.
Yep. Oh, I think what was surprising is Microsoft is getting very cozy with EA. Free FIFA in every pre-ordered Xbox One in Europe. And no announcement for the United States, and we'll talk about that.
Off camera?
Afterwards, I asked Phil Harrison, who is a corporate vice president at Microsoft.
On a date.
And I said, so, great announcement. I mean, kudos on...
Guys, watch out. Hold on, I'm sorry. Just be heads up. Don't look now.
Here comes a segue.
I mean, it was really surprising when they said, hey, free FIFA, which was a story
Which
that
I
was
think is because-
reported before the show by CVG.
Is it that surprising? Is it surprising because it's a third-party title? Because, like, I mean, pack-ins are as old as the industry. You know what I mean?
Pack-ins went away for a very long time
They
now.
did, but, I mean, here we go.
The funny thing is, pack-ins have changed because Sony technically has pack-ins. If you're a PlayStation Plus member, you get a free version of Drive Club on day one, and you get Resogun from Housemarque.
Right.
I don't know
Which
any
is
of those
fun.
words. Resogun?
Resogun's one of the new indie games that they announced.
cool.
It's from the makers of Super Stardust HD. You're a ship, and you fly around this circular track, shooting a bunch of bad guys.
Cool.
And you pick up guys, like civilians, who are like getting eaten by aliens, and then that awards you with like special moves and power-ups like bombs and other like dash moves.
So for Microsoft, it came down to like, all right, we've backpedaled enough on our console. So all things being equal, you should get an Xbox because you get FIFA now.
Yes.
I think for Europe, yeah, that was a good move for them. So, I mean, I think that this was my first Gamescom. You've
Mine
been
too.
before, yeah, your first one. I don't know if I was expecting as much as this, like as far as announcements and new things to see. This is Europe's like one game show for every year,
Yeah.
and it's huge, and so it comes with a lot of good announcements and good hands-on time. And I was surprised, and I'm more excited for the next generation consoles having gone to it. So
For me, one of the smartest things that was done, Activision announcing the expansion for Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls, right before Diablo 3 on consoles comes out. Even though the expansion isn't coming, it's a reminder like, oh yeah, I really did kind of like Diablo 3, and
Yeah.
I'm actually pretty excited for it.
I remember growing up when I was just a fan, like paying attention to video game news. It seemed like E3 and TGS were like the two big shows. And now TGS is kind of like diminished somewhat, and I feel like Gamescom has kind of supplanted it and become up as like the second biggest like newsworthy show. It's definitely the biggest in terms of attendance,
Right.
But in terms of news, like it's pretty significant now too.
And I think when Tim and Kim go to TGS, I think it'll be interesting to find out what the major trends are coming out of Japan versus Europe versus the United States.
you guys, I think the buffet's about to end, and there's dessert there.
Yeah, let's go get
Okay?
food.
All right.
Awesome.
All right.
That's more important
Yeah,
than this.
that's
food.
it from Gamescom.
Good luck finishing it,
Yeah,
Hanson.
food. Hanson, go eat.
Do you want a different ending?
No, that's good.
Are you good?
I think that works.
Hanson, go eat. The red light's still on.
Oh, Roxanne.
Roxanne.